All right, today we've got a story for you that honestly sounds like something out of a Sherlock Holmes novel. It's called The Case of the Vanishing Corn. And yeah, it happened way back over 150 years ago, but you'd be surprised how much this one weird case still affects how we all buy and sell stuff, like right now.
So let me ask you something. What happens if you buy something that doesn't exist anymore? Think about it. You're online, you find the perfect vintage guitar. You hit buy, the money leaves your account, and you have no idea, just minutes before you clicked, there was a fire at the warehouse and that guitar, it's gone. Toast. So, are you still on the hook to pay for it? That exact puzzle is what we're talking about today. Okay, let's get into the story. We're talking about a deal for some ghost corn. Seriously, two businessmen signed a contract for a huge shipment of corn that, well, wasn't actually there. They were literally making a deal for a phantom cargo. Let's travel back in time. The year is 1856. We're in London, the absolute hub of global trade, and the deal is being made for a big old cargo of Indian corn. Pretty standard stuff, right? This corn is on a ship sailing from Greece on its way to England. So who's involved? We've got two guys. On one side, you have the seller, a Mr. Couturier, and on the other, the buyer, Mr. Hasty. And the deal couldn't sound simpler, right? Couturier says, I'm selling this specific boatload of corn. Hasty says, great, I'll buy that specific boatload. Easy peasy. Or so you'd think.
Yeah, this is where that super simple deal goes completely off the rails. To really get what happened, we need to look at the timeline, because the timing here, it's everything.
Okay, check this out. Early February, the ship leaves Greece with the corn, everything's fine. But by mid-February, the cargo starts overheating and fermenting. It's basically going bad fast. The ship's captain, not wanting to lose everything, makes a judgment call. He pulls into the nearest port and sells off the spoiled corn. Now here's the kicker. This all happens in late February. It's not until early March that our guys back in London, with absolutely no clue what's happened, sit down and sign the contract for that very same corn. And that brings us right back to that million-dollar question. If the corn was already gone, sold off to someone else, what in the world did Mr. Hasty just buy? I mean, he signed a piece of paper for a specific thing that, at that very moment, wasn't for sale anymore. What did he actually pay for?
So as you can imagine, this wasn't just some friendly debate. Oh no, this blew up into a massive legal fight that went all the way to the top, to the highest court in Britain. They had to figure out what to do with a contract that was basically impossible from the second it was signed.
And the core legal idea here is something called a common mistake. Now, this isn't about someone lying or cheating. It's when both people in a deal make the exact same fundamental mistake about what they're agreeing to. Here, they both thought the corn existed and was on its way. They were both wrong.
Naturally, the two sides had totally different takes on this. The seller, Couturier, argued, hey, you didn't just buy the corn, you bought the commercial adventure. Basically, he was saying Hasty bought the shipping documents and the chance the corn would arrive safely. But Hasty, the buyer, was like, no way, I bought corn. If there is no corn, there is no contract, end of story.
So, who do you think was right? The risk taker or the guy who just wanted his corn? Well, the court had to make the final call. Let's see what they decided.
And the verdict came from the very top. The House of Lords sided with Hasty, the buyer. And this line from their decision really says it all. They basically said, look, the contract plainly imports that there was something which was to be sold and purchased. In other words, this was a deal for an actual physical thing, not some abstract idea or a commercial adventure. It was about the corn itself.
The final verdict? Two simple words: contract void. It was like the agreement never even happened. Poof, gone. Which means, nope, Hasty didn't have to pay a single penny for that phantom corn.
Okay, so that's a cool story from the 1800s. But you're probably wondering, why does this still matter? Why should you care? Well, it's because the rule that came out of this case is something that protects all of us, every single day.
This case established a huge legal principle, and it has a cool Latin name, res extincta. All it means is the thing has perished. And the rule is simple. If the specific thing you're making a contract for doesn't exist when you sign on the dotted line, then the contract is totally void.
And you see this principle in action all the time, even if you don't realize it. Say you make a deal to buy a specific painting from a gallery, but neither of you knows there was a fire and it burned up an hour ago. Guess what? Res extincta. The contract's void. Or you agree to buy a beautiful classic car, but it gets into a wreck right before you sign the papers. Same deal. The thing you were buying is gone, so the agreement is too.
At the end of the day,
What this whole case of the vanishing corn gave us is a really important safety net. It makes sure that contracts have to be based in reality. It means you can't be forced to pay for something that, through nobody's fault, just plain doesn't exist anymore.
But here's a final thought to chew on. This all started with a boatload of physical corn. But what about today? We buy things that aren't physical at all. Digital assets, NFTs, crypto. So what does it even mean for an NFT or a piece of code to perish or cease to exist? It's pretty wild to think that this old case about ghost corn is still making us ask brand new questions in our totally digital world.